Okay. Welcome. My name's Moonlight Mystic. I am a spiritual activist, and um, I want to uh, just talk about. I kind of like when it was going live this time. I just wanted to jump in. I had trains of thought that were running and on the track, and so sometimes I need to get into a flow so that I can board the train, and so that I can ride that train of consciousness, and and sometimes I lose that train of thought, and sometimes it comes back. Um, then that's part of the way I communicate. Um, I communicate from the place of heart language because um, that is the language, that is a universal language, heart language, and it is a spiritual language. And so when we are in heart language, um, then it's more about the energetic exchange that is happening. Um, and so in this moment and in this space, this is down to earth with Moonlight Mystic. um and so I guess my movements are collaborate with getting comfortable and getting centered. Mhm. Rather than presenting um something, um because because I don't seek to present a body of information. I seek to connect to your heart and to your energy and to things that are going to make sense at a spiritual level. So when I was contemplating going live, I was thinking about I was thinking about the world religion. So I wanted to talk about that a little bit, um, and how that world religion, it's an energetic exchange. It is energetic structures and systems in place that are built upon principles, and the world religion principle is to suppress and repress the aspects of spirit within humanity. That's what religion does. It makes it about performance, it makes it about presenting, it makes it about finding our value and our identification through external feedback mechanisms that are set up within society to judge us and to say, you are accepted or you are not accepted. um, and so we learn the psychology energetically. We learn the patterns whereby we assess and look at the self through um, through let's say through the judgments that have already been um, created energetically. So we fear, because we fear being judged. So the world religion mm, um, uses fear to control, because if we are because if we are put in a position where we fear the judgment that says that we're not good enough, the judgment that says we are not loved, the judgment, whatever the judgment says, we we fear that judgment, and so therefore we conform. We conform. We begin to learn how to adopt behaviorisms and oftentimes they are completely can be completely in opposition to the energetic pattern that's wanting to work through our transmission of light and our spirit. So what's happening is that through what the world religion, which is an energetic exchange and psychology feedback mechanism, um, through that world religion, we develop imbalances within us because there are parts of the self that then become redundant or then become trapped or become repressed, suppressed, um, and so then that can lead to all other um, mental health issues um, down the track because there's a conflict that's happening within. We are having to present something, um, a reflection that doesn't match the energetic transmission that's in our heart. Okay, and so a lot of that world religion was a world religion that goes deep into the psychology of the emotional underworld. It is in that world that the heart um, integrates such fears and integrates illusions of self and begins to um, develop the thought forms that come from that religion about the self. And so instead of moving in free flow and acceptance, we can experience through our developmental stages these arrested developments where we were um, where our consciousness and our energy transmission was hijacked through a shadow projection, let's say an energetic shadow projection that forced us to judge ourselves or to judge others or to create a belief about the self that is based on a foundational um, fear that was created within that projection. You know, that I might be rejected because I was rejected in this situation. It might happen again. So what develops is that we are reacting to shadow projections. We're reacting to them because that there is an emotional guidance system within us all that picks up when something is there's an irritation or there's an imbalance or there's some form of disturbance within the emotional underworld. Then that's a signal that um, in some way we are compromising the self. In some way we are not in full alignment with the self and with the self's values and perspectives. And so the world religion has developed this psychology whereby there is an imbalanced energetic exchange of trust that is developed. So as children and as we learn and grow, we are we are not learning, we are not building the wisdom and the support and the acceptance and the surrender to the self that is, what did I write here? Now I have to look to my notes. I wrote something really cool and then I just, where did I write it? somewhere. I'm gonna find it. You can wait patiently with me. Oh, I don't know. I've got pages and pages and pages of notes. But ultimately, we're talking about the emotional underworld. And so what happens is we are building within the emotional underworld a form of resistance to things. Um, because we have to, on one level, resist the self, that is the authentic, um spiritual being that we are, or the heart expression that we need to bring to the world, or whatever it is. We are resisting that self. And so that requires energy, that requires us um taking control, and controlling the self to present, um in a way that, is that will gain approval. So I like what, Kyle Cease says, um, trading approval, for the real self. Mhm. And so as we go through life, we tend to, um, um, but then we're never approved, we're never fully approved. It's something that we're having to get all the time. And so then what happens is that we source that sense of self outside of the self. So we are receiving the messages from the external world about who we're supposed to be, and what we're supposed to be, and how we're supposed to think, and what we're supposed to feel about things. And so there's this inner pressure that begins to build, because, um, there's expectations that are being required, of us to conform, to contract, to um, to live in a certain way, or whatever it may be. So we're given the vision, not as a, they don't do it directly, like, here's the vision, guys, let's go for it. No, no, no. Because many millions of years ago, or I don't know, millions of years ago, years and years ago, um there was a society of people that were underground, and they were a secret society. And they decided that power was something that, one could possess, um, only through one mechanism, which is to keep things, hidden, to have secrets, to know inside people, and on all this sort of stuff. And so power became something that was, um deceitful, um and about presenting on the outside, but then on the inside, um there's all kinds of illusions, and fears, and resistances, and judgments, and things that we were trained to 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 integrate into our emotion, into this guidance system, into our emotional underworld. That was the world religion of shadow. And what's interesting is that when we what we need to realize here, if we're looking, perceiving from a spiritual perspective, what we need to realize here is that, if there is a governing mind that, that expects or has the expectation or intention to to um control things, let's say, they need to be able to carry out um what it is that they do under the spiritual principles, okay, of transparency, of trust, of equal energetic exchange, and all those sorts of things. So we have lived in a very imbalanced world because this has been the projection. We have been looking towards leaders within our world that carry an imbalanced perspective of the body of the people, because the imbalanced perspective is because the energetic exchange is not equal. When you have an agreement is a reflection of a balanced energetic exchange that happens. Okay, that's an agreement. When you understand the other person's rules and they understand yours, when you understand their perspective and they understand yours, then you are in agreement. The thing is that we have been looking at the leadership of our world, let's say, um let's look at it energetically. um they, if they have all the power, if they only have the rights to the story that's going to be on the news, if they only have um if they are in control of um looking after the people, but they spend money on things that the people don't think that money should be spent on, then what's happening is that there is a greater divide. It's disconnected. We're disconnected. We are, that heart is not connected to the head. The head is not saying, oh, oh, collective heart, I see you, I feel you, I sense you, I hear you, and I take on that vision. The head is not saying that. The head is disconnected from the heart. Okay, and that then the imbalance is there, right? So so because that is the example, the energetic influence and example that we have been given, that we have trusted that leadership um in what they present to be, when it's, let's put it this way, when it's no longer fear, when there's not an equal energetic exchange and it's not fear, that's when fear is created. Okay, so so part of um having the psychology that's of world religion that says, I am superior, you are inferior. I am right, you are wrong. I am the expert, you are the one that knows nothing. I know everything, you know nothing. And so it's the elevated position, it's the hierarchy, okay, that 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 says how things are going to roll around here. the, so the thing that is missed is that things can't roll like that around here unless the people are in energetic and conscious agreement with what is being broadcast. Okay. And so now we move into 2020, and 2020 is the clarity. um it's when everything begins to be exposed. Anyone who's trying to cover things up is stands out like a sore thumb, and those that are have nothing to hide and begin to drop the mask, and those of us that are part of humanity that have lived under this world religion of judgment and of fear and of resistances to the collective self, because we're all connected, we're all a reflection um, of spirit. We are all a reflection of spirit. And so And so that is a virus that enters the psychology, that says, you know, um, that there's segregation in any form. And we know at a heart level, I mean, that was the quest of Martin Luther King. He recognized that imbalance within the world and within the leadership, and he had a greater vision, and he followed that vision through, you know, and he blazed a trail. And and we all have that spirit within us. Okay, that's the Christ consciousness, that is saying, actually, I believe in a world that is governed by the spiritual principle. I believe in a world that is founded upon the balanced energetic exchange of trust. Oh, I've just got so much running through my head, and it's hard to know which way to go. And and that's how it is. Um, in that other it's a projected world that we live in. We're dealing with energy projections, and so when we understand that, and then we take back our sovereignty, that's not about a big violent battle. That's about recognizing you own your consciousness, recognizing you own your energy, recognizing you need to own your fears. You need to own those parts of yourself that are waiting for you, to be discovered, because at some point they were shut down through the shadow projection of the world religion that said, no, you can't do that. And I think that because we're now in Aquarius, the thing is, there's a shift. There's energetic shifts that are happening left, right, and center. There's a paradigm that is moving. We're moving from one paradigm to the next paradigm. So I think now, those leaders that have, they became a little bit too relaxed in terms of letting the cat out of the bag, and because they were so um, had become so accustomed to using this psychology and the covering up of information, um, that I mean, the thing is, we are all coming out from behind the mask, and I'm not talking about the physical mask, I'm talking about the spiritual mask. We're coming. What is happening behind the mask? You know, it covers the mouth. It covers. What do we do when we let something out of the bag? We're like, oh, oh, there's my mask. Oops, oops. You saw that. Am I going to continue to keep deceiving myself? Or am I going to believe that I actually deceived someone else? It's like, when you meet people and they're clearly making shit up, or they're lying, or it's in their body language, it's in their energy, it's coming through loud and clear, and you just think, oh gosh, what do I do in this situation? Do I just pretend like, oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, totally, uh-huh, and the thing is that, um what we've got to realize is that people that are trying to deceive the world are actually deceiving themselves, because we're in 2020 vision. That means both eyes are open. That means we're switched on. um that means that, you know we can see through everything. There's so many cats out the bag that are walking around in daylight. And so we see then that there's this story of the old paradigm, of the old world religion, and of that, of what the world is, and that's what it has been. Okay, up until this point. Now that world religion is now looking um, to create another level of world religion, which is that amp up the fear so that we all are afraid of each other. We're all afraid to connect, to or to um whatever. It's like you can begin to see um the first stages of what they want the world to look like. That there's heaps of viruses out there. I mean, let's go back to the virus. The virus is not just a natural phenomena. It was created in a lab. Was created in the lab. That's mad. That's mad. And so that means that there needs to be a new governing spiritual principle. There are those governing spiritual principles. It's called human rights, and that's the movement that's coming, because we are beginning to wake up, which is we're beginning to see all the illusions and all the fears, and we're beginning to see how we've judged ourselves, and we didn't need to, how we've judged others, and we didn't need to, that we're all part um of that collective energy of spirit. Okay. And so, and that energy, that collective energy of spirit, is what we are fighting for. We are fighting for ourselves. We are fighting for ourselves. And that fight begins within us. We take back, we reclaim the light, we take back the boldness and the fire to express and to be who we really are. Okay, to live how we really want to live, to dream how we really want to dream, to translate the vision that we have in our heart into a reality, because there is a report that's coming through about COVID and everything that's happening here. Okay, but that's just one body of information. That's one story, and then there's all these other stories that are coming up out of the people. And so that those stories, those bodies of information, those solutions, those that awareness of the solution is just as much a valid perspective as the solution that they've wanted to control and have for so long, you see. So it's not just one story that's running now. There's two stories that are running, and that's exciting. So what does that mean? That means that we're entering into the days of the visionary, of the revolutionary, of the artist, of the spiritual revolution, of the spiritual leaders coming forward, of the connection of nations, of the connection of the global unity, of the global common unity of the spiritual principles, by which we decide to stand. We decide to stand. We decide to we make the decision to step forward and to present the case, because a lot of the COVID story, there's so much that's missing, and we are the ones that find those missing pieces, and we say, we are here as the collective, we are here as the heart, we are here to bring the balance, the energetic exchange of balance that has been missing in our world. Mm. And we move um, into that arena, because uh, we have to acknowledge the spiritual world. We have to acknowledge the emotional underworld. That's the part of us that we have been forbidden to express. The multi dimensions of self. So I think that's, what are we at? We're at 30 minutes. Where is our vision? True leadership the true leadership are those that are the leaders that have the capacity to translate the vision into reality. You know, that's fine that that we are being presented with a vision that affects us completely and globally. That's all right. Um, the thing is, I think viruses. Well, are we supposed to just be afraid of viruses and then act like robots and not live? It's such an overreaction, and I think that we need a more balanced perspective. We need to respond in a way that is balanced and trusting, and that everyone can have the right to respond to this virus in the way that they think um is the way to respond. And I think that the way to respond is to address the issue that's not being addressed is that it happened in the first place. Okay, there needs to be laws that are set up that if people are found to be creating viruses and releasing viruses, then they are jailed for life or fines or whatever, because or maybe not, maybe there needs to be some form of principle by which we live, by which we by what we do. The principle um, governs what we do and how we do things. Okay, and if we are departing from that natural order of how we do things, then then there is a consequence for that. you know. And it's not about judgment, and it's not about fear, and it's not about resistance. It's about recognizing that anyone that causes more harm than good um, needs to be um, needs to understand that that's no longer acceptable anymore. Needs to understand that, because if we fight darkness with darkness, then we cannot do it. Okay, we must have the higher vision, and we must present that, introduce that higher vision, um, so that it can be fully understood. You know, if we can understand that a virus is out there, and we understand the vision of what it is we need to do, and what it is how it is we need to live according to that, then we can also find the vision of how we live and how we do things under the spiritual principle as well, which is a principle that focuses on the balanced perspective. That means that the perspectives of the people come into play here. And then we can move to the second act, where there is a movement and a passion and a fire and a conviction that comes up out of the people, of that community, that recognizes that this is a spiritual, this is a matter of spiritual principle. Okay, okay, because boundaries are what keep us safe. Um, Boundaries, saying yes, um, that may be very well, but we actually need to address where it's coming from and why it's happening in the first place. you know and so then the shift is happening between that world religion that has relied upon um the educational system and just the structure of how society is, that we need to be good and we need to obey and we need to all that sort of thing. What is good, and what is obedience, if if there is no awareness of why you're doing something? It has to come from, we have to cultivate deliberate intention towards how we live and what we do. That's called vision. And if the government doesn't isn't able to incorporate the people and the perspective of the people into the vision of our future, then there will arise another governing a governing mind and a governing psychology that supports and yeah, that supports the collective, that supports the earth, that supports the next generation, that supports the spiritual journey of our soul evolution, rather than interfering with it and causing us to become traumatized. um, right. So I'm just sort of like, I've got, okay, here it is. We're entering the day of the dreamer. See, I'm putting on my news hat. Breaking news. We are entering the day of the dreamers, of the visionary, of the artistic nature of man, of the spiritual activists, um, in this creative endeavor that we call life. Because within this life, which is what we are, there are many dimensions and expressions of self, and these dimensions and expressions of self have been the forbidden fruit. The creative intuitive is able to witness the transitional awareness of the self. So what is the creative intuitive? It is an intuitive that is connected to their own emotional underworld and their spirit, and they can witness the transitional changes that are happening within the wheel, in the completion of all things. Um, and and they can begin to um, recognize the self as it transitions from one form into another. Okay. As we begin to release shadow, we're moving from one form into another. Okay. And um the poetic connection of the art forms that will come through, um that that signify and reflect the transitions and the changes and the movements um, of of the people, of the heart. Okay, because we're moving into heart energy, and the people, the collective, is symbolic of the heart, of the transmission, because we are the manifestors and we are the creators, and we're beginning to realize that um that we can choose which vision we want to follow. We can choose. You can choose a vision full of fear and full of judgments and resistances, but that will keep you in your assimilated prison of consciousness. There are other visions to attach yourself to, visions that allow for you to enter into an expansive form of reality that is creative, ingenious. We can become playful with it. We can find the comedy in it. We can find the expression in it. We can find the meditation in it. We can find all the movements of this transformation when we're coming out of the shadows and we're coming into the fullness of our light and of our empowered self. When we begin to take on that identity that has been repressed when it is like an arrow, because it is being pulled and pulled. It has been pulled and pulled and pulled and pulled and pulled and pulled and pulled back to the point where the old system, the old world religion has just taken things a little bit too far. And what's going to happen is that that arrow is going to be released. And so, and it is released when it comes out of all of that pressure. And it just flies through the air into the circle, into the target, into the navigation of our new world. We see the target and we're like, that way. We can take everything that this world religion has has um, has projected into our perspective of self and of the world. We can take all of that, and we can begin to do the shadow work and discover that actually we're not who we thought we were. according to the dark shadow projections that were available and on offer for all of us, because we became distracted and consumed by that need for acceptance and approval, and we just got to the point where we thought it's just easier to conform and to 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 contract the self and to shut myself down, because that's the world that we live in, and everyone's kind of shut down and triggered and experiencing their own emotional patterns from their own emotional underworld that need to be you know um resolved. Resolve it, move through it, get it out of the way. Because when that's no longer in your path, you're no longer manifesting that reflection, that limitation of self that you believe, because the belief is attached to the fear that you're limited. Okay, so if you keep perceiving yourself as limited, then you keep creating that, because that's a belief, and that's come through a shadow projection, a time in your timeline history where a shadow projection made you feel a certain way, and you adopted some thought forms that connected to that emotion, and then you integrated it, and it became a perspective that you began to reflect to the world. Mhm. And because the vision that is coming from that imbalanced, corrupt leadership, it's coming because it wants us to reflect it in our heart, to reflect it in our consciousness. That's the whole purpose of projection, isn't it, really? And so, but the thing with projection is that um when we are beholding the projection, what we don't realize is the projection, the one that is behind the projection, is actually the one that owns the fear. It belongs to them. And what are they afraid of, really? um are they afraid that they're not in control? Yes, they are afraid. They're afraid that they're not in control because they want to be in control of our consciousness and in control of our heart energy. But the thing is that we are transcending that. We are coming into new territory now, and so it's kind of like an open playing field, because it's a transitional energy. We're moving from the old world into the new world. We're moving from the old paradigm to the new paradigm. We are transitioning out of the shadow. We're moving into the reclaiming of our light, of our essence, of our soul energy, of our purpose and our destiny, in terms of who we were born to be on the earth. The revolutionary energy is what revolutionizes. Is the revolutionary energy, is the revolutionary heart. And when we step into the revolutionary heart, then we begin to revolutionize our world. We recognize, hey, we are the ones that are the creators. Okay. And if people want to sit under those projections and create that assimilation, that's fine. I can accept that. That's fine. Because we all have freedom of choice. We all have um the right to exercise our own free will, and that comes under the spiritual principle. And so these spiritual principles need to be reestablished. That's our job. That's what the people are doing. That's what we're all doing now. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Don't feel restricted. Or withhold judgment. Withhold judgment. Withhold judgment. Oh, it's really hard, isn't it? Because we want to be right. We don't want to be in a relationship. We want to be right. Yeah, I told you. I told you. See, you did it wrong, or whatever it is, and that's ego. And so that's definitely a energetic structure that's present in our world, and a lot of us operate from that um vibration. And that's fine. The, because what will happen is we will begin to recognize that person is offering me an imbalanced energetic exchange, energy exchange that is not based on trust. Okay. um they want to control, and so what we need to realize is that control is an illusion. I don't control you. You don't control me, because I am driving this consciousness and this body and this energy. So it's just how it is. Soul evolution reflects the story, the expression, and the completion of all things. Soul evolution is the change that we have been dreaming of, and then it is the journey that is required of us to find its reality. Yeah. This is a journey, and um, I think that it's not complicated. It's about offering yourself acceptance and recognizing the shadow, the energetic pattern that is attached to your fear, the resistance, and the judgment that you've made. Okay. If it's creating an imbalance within you, it's a shadow. If it's creating peace within you, it's your spirit. Um, we enter our balanced state of sovereignty when we embrace the energetic nature that reflects the soul star. The soul star is the heart alignment that is connected to the unique light that we were born to bring to this world. The navigation of our new world is not dependent upon old structures and systems, because we've known these structures and these systems of consciousness. These are the structures and systems of consciousness that have restricted and conformed our light. And they have created the blockage within our own heart to be in connection with the self, and to just flow. And we need to find the environment where that is acceptable. You know, um, that's what casts the shadow, the blockage of light, and so it is in the physical world. The navigation of our new world depends upon the expansive reality of heart, of our own heart creation. That's ultimately influenced, the expansive reality of our own heart creation, that is influenced by the governing spiritual principle, or it can be influenced by the governing shadow projection, whatever it may be. um we have lived in a world of illusion, shadow. This is the great deception that has crucified our light and forced us into the state of the disconnected self, of the world religion of darkness. For it is the world religion of judgment, of fear and resistance, that's hijacked the creative light of humanity. This was all a part of the completion of all things, for it allowed us to experience the shadow and therefore become the light of the world. Okay, so we become the light of the world. We have to walk through the darkness to become the light of the world, because we need to understand the darkness as much as we understand the light. And so that's an important thing there. We're nearly at an hour, so I'm going to wrap it up. But the balance of light and shadow, the wisdom of light and shadow, to darkness is a part of us that holds within it um, a lot of information that can assist us in finding our light, because the darkness is what is blocking our light. So if it so if we find the energetic pattern that is connected to the world religion and the darkness of that world religion, then it's connected also to this need to be in control of everything, because um if our location of validation of self exists outside of the self, then we need to control everything that's happening, so that we can feel better about ourselves. So that's trusting in a superficial, it's not a real, it's a superficial form of of um of identity. So that's the ego. The ego needs is feeding off um of uh the the world, the reflection. It needs to, it needs the reflection to make it feel important, to make it feel like it is superior, to make it feel that its perspective is the only perspective. And so if that is the case, the superficial self needs that control, because um and so then the energetic contract and exchange um is that it requires the other to then take on the energetic pattern that will support this perspective of self, that I am superior, that I'm this, that I'm that, da, 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 da. Okay, uh, there needs to be control in order to keep that persona in place, right? So that's what we're dealing with too. And um so yeah. um and so when an individual begins to transcend and to come out of their shadow, what they realize is that they're really triggered, and they go away and they connect to themselves and they go, why do I feel like this? And I'm just going to sit and accept this feeling. I'm just going to accept it. I'm going to give it love. I'm going to accept it. I'm going to say, you're allowed to feel like this. Okay, you're allowed to feel like this. What um and so you figure out what the feeling is, and what is the belief that is supporting me feeling like this? Not that it's supporting you, but what is the belief that is um creating that feeling? Yeah, that they're more powerful than me, that they have all the power, that they know everything, that they whatever. Okay, and so then for me to have an energetic exchange with that person, then I have to be able to say, well, then I am inadequate, I don't know anything, I don't have a perspective, um I am wrong, I am, all these sorts of things. And the ego then says, I need to prove that I'm not those things. It becomes a battle between the two. Um, between the two. The let's say the one that's in the weaker position is looking for acceptance. Acceptance of the self is acceptance of, when I accept you, I'm accepting your perspective, I am accepting your position, your perspective, the way, what makes sense for your own soul, and what is right for you. And when I do that, um what needs to happen is that um I am, let me just think about this, it's really difficult to explain. um so that self is needs to come up with a story to justify remaining the same. And that story is usually based upon victimhood. So then the story would become, um so and so stood over me and controlled me and made me feel this way. Okay, now intercept there. When someone else is making you feel a certain way and you're blaming that other energetic persona, or you're blaming, you're saying you made me feel, what you're saying there is you're saying, um you made me feel that way, that therefore you have power over my energy and my consciousness of self. So you are taking the position of of the lower position, the weaker position, let's say, within that energetic dynamic. Okay, okay. To blame, to shame is to say, I don't have my power, they have it. And they have it over me. Okay, that's the belief. Okay, the fear um, is that you have you have no power, you have no right to express your truth, your perspective, whatever the thing is. Now, you do have a right to all those things, but the thing is that what you need to recognize is that you are engaging with somebody that that has a psychology that is based upon the world religion. Because um they have received that psychology that's been passed down of the world religion, that um I must be superior because otherwise I'll be viewed as inferior. There's only the two, right? You know, um, and so, or I must be right because otherwise be seen as right because otherwise I'll be seen as wrong, and there's only two, right? And the thing is like, um, and that's an imbalance. That's called an energetic exchange, an imbalanced energetic exchange. Okay, and we just stay away from those people. Because the thing is that we have sovereignty, which means we own our consciousness and we own our energy. We don't have to take on another's perspective, of us, and if it's negative and it's given in an imbalanced way, um it's because they don't want to own their own stuff. They don't want to own it, because if they own it, then they have to become humble and say, well, I'm afraid of this. And so you see how we're not communicating from the heart and the spiritual level. We're not being transparent. We're not allowing to just say, this is my emotional underworld, these are my rules, this is my perspective, and you don't have to agree with it. You just need to accept that it exists. If you're happy to accept that I exist, then I am in an energetic exchange of balance with you, because then I can accept that your perspective exists. This exchange of trust can only happen when there's balance, and so there's been this real imbalanced energetic exchange. um yeah. um So I guess what begins to happen is that we begin to trust the self beyond the shadow projection. We recognize that we are making energetic space within our consciousness and within our energetic field for tyrants, people that are not interested in actually communicating or um, negotiating or whatever. They just want the control. Okay, well, let them have it. Let them have their illusion and walk away. Let them have their illusion and walk away, because they're not deceiving you, they're deceiving themselves. They need to project in order to hold the mask in place. They need to project, and projection is just um, a unhealthy coping mechanism that people have developed under that psychology of the world religion, because that is the example that they have been given from the top. And so when that governing mind is at the top, then the energetic exchange and the psychology of that top, which is like this, the top of it all. um it's imbalanced. They're using the consciousness and the energy and the whole creation of the energetic world that we live in terms of um, consciousness and energy and creation. They rely on that energetic exchange. So what happens when we begin to no longer provide that energetic exchange? We say, actually, there is another story. Actually, there is another set of perspectives and feelings that are felt here other than fear. Other than resistance and other than judgment. Actually, I'd like to step aside with that particular projection and have a word and say, um, let me just consider everything that you're saying, everything that you're projecting, and let me get back to you on that one, because I need to find a response that um, that supports and reflects my perspective and my transition, and I need transmission, sorry, and my transition, and and that needs to come from a place of balanced heart energy. So when we get back to them on that one, then we can say things like, well, I have decided that, and what we have decided, and or that I'm going to do XYZ, or I've decided this, or I've decided that, because um, of what you said, or what you perceived was the problem, and this is my response. Because it's interesting, isn't it? That psychology of that world religion always makes the other the problem. Whereas the psychology that's built on the spiritual principle, we we self-reflect and we find the inner um the inner resonance of the empowered self. And because we are the other end of the energetic exchange, there's an energetic exchange. When we turn up with a different reflection, and as a collective, when we have built the vision, not just the vision of how we see our world, but we have built the structures and the system, and we have the people, and we have translated the vision into a reality, and we step forward and we say, hmm, yes, here we are. We have a different perspective that we'd like to offer. Actually, we have more than a different perspective. We have a whole vision, um, of how we see things. And so um then it's up to the other side to then have to they have to respond. It's all about projection and reflection and projection and reflection. And the thing is that it has been predominantly um shadow projections, you know, and we've lived under this darkness. But behold, those who sat in darkness, they have seen a great light, because they are looking in a different mirror. We as the people are no longer a reflection of the vision that is being presented to us. We as the people are a reflection of the highest mind, of the spiritual principle. And so there, therefore, when we hold that perspective, we begin to reflect that world, and then we realize we are the world. We are the creators. We begin to listen with the spiritual ear. What is coming through? We begin to connect back into worlds that we believed were lost. And those worlds are within each one of us. As we begin to revolutionize with the self, we will begin to revolutionize the world. So there is definitely a transitional period, and we are resting, um, and we are beginning to develop um, the strategic movements of heart energy that are required in this time of history. Hope shines brightest in the darkest hour. Darkness is not here to make us weak. Darkness is here to make us strong, to make us brave, to make us bold, to create the lion within us, um, to create uh, fearlessness, to be able to accept that fear exists and understand it as a transitional energy, that offers us the opportunity to live beyond our fears. Um, and we are arising. We are we are arising like the sun, like the next generation that we hold within our spiritual womb, because we understand that we are the navigators, we are the revolutionaries, we are the visionaries, we are the light workers, we are the earth keepers, the earth defenders, and we are all kinds of skill sets and qualifications and um, abilities, talents that drive that, because we are one. One um, is about the integration of all and the acceptance of all, um, of all aspects of what each soul energy brings, and how that can be grafted into the navigation of our new world, because we need those leaders, and those leaders are amongst us. So it's so much easier to hear when I can just do that. Block out all the other shit that's flying around in my head. So there is a video that goes with this. It's called "The Leaders Are Amongst Us." It's a as a spiritual activist, I do kind of little videos. If you want to check that out, it's pretty cool. And well, I think it's pretty cool. It just kind of evolved, and it kind of is a it's a movement of magic. So it has within it the images, it has within it the quotes, the psychology, um, the energy of that vision. And if you've enjoyed this broadcast, back to the news presenter. If you've enjoyed this broadcast, then there's actually another little treat waiting for you. That's more of a visual meditation and awareness of where we're going, and so you can watch that too. It just can kind of be um, a way in which we kind of conclude or integrate or solidify that vision within our consciousness more, because we are so I really felt to do these because there's so much out there within the media world that is just it's just COVID-19 virus overload, and if that's all there is to watch and to download, then that's there needs to be alternative perspectives um in terms of expression. So this is these videos are ex- they are um creative stories, I guess, or creative impressions um, of spiritual activism and what it looks like, yeah, what it feels like, what it sounds like, um, what it could be like. It's all unknown, but we are definitely. It's an exciting time. It's not doom and gloom time. It's an exciting time. We have to put the virus into perspective, and yes, viruses exist. Yes, we accept that fear exists. Yes, we accept that we are human and we fear getting a virus. Or do we? I mean, um, it's not a vision. That's not a real inspiring, empowering vision. We're looking for the inspiring, empowering vision. And you are that vision. I am that vision. We are that vision. We are looking for support. And you are the support. I am the support. We are the support. We are the collective. We are the collective heart. We can do this. Yes, we can. That's what Bob the Builder says, anyway. Can we do this? Can we fix it? Yes, we can. We can fix this. We can fix this. We don't have to, you know, yes, we do at the moment, go around with masks and whatever, but the thing is we can fix this. There needs to be um a principle and a law that is actually going to deal with this kind of behavior of creating viruses. Like, what the fuck are you doing? That's not allowed. That is a violation of a spiritual principle, of the order of things. Okay, the people that are getting away with these things are not the people that are on the grassroots level. They're the people that perceive themselves as the leaders of our new world. Well, fuck no. Not if you're carrying on doing shit like that. Okay, that is what exposes what is being exposed, the imbalance and the need for the spiritual principle to be reestablished and followed through. Okay, in so many ways, more ways than one. So if you want to go watch The Leaders Are Amongst Us, then go for gold. That's it. It's a wrap here. My mouth is still talking, yabbering away, and I'm trying to close the the deal, but it's time to it is time to wrap this up. And so, yeah, so thank you so much for being here. Thank you for the soul that you are. Thank you for the revolutionary heart that you are. Thank you for being born. Thank you for your soul energy. And and thank you for you know we've all been um we have all been subjected to act from a place of shadow projection, and we have also been known to act from a place of light and of that transmission also. So there's no judgment here. I want to make that really clear. This is a place of non-judgment. This is a place that doesn't hold fear. Any fear here? No. Sorry, ran out of fear. Everyone else seems to have it, running around with it, and I just ran out. So I ran out of fear. People that really want it, they can go and get it. I'm sure they can find it in all kinds of places. If they really want it, you know. And um and you know and and I, I i gave up resistance because I realized that that resistance was actually the belief and the fear manifesting itself. um, I was manifesting my own fear, and I was and resistance doesn't it doesn't it's counterintuitive. Resistance doesn't deal with the problem. Resistance just puts us into a position where we are a reflection of the projection, which is what they want. They want us to reflect the projection, and so when we reflect the projection in our assimilated perspective of self that has no power, then you know um then that's what we reflect to the world. you know um and a lot of this power is what we hold within our heart. It's the perspective, and allow for other people to have the perspective of you. If people want to disown you, or they want to judge you, or they want to make all kind, so that's their issue. They are dealing with themselves, because once you hold um a conviction of who you believe that you are, they're just deceiving themselves. They are just perceiving themselves in the mirror. They're becoming the reflection of what of the judgment they're making about you. And if I was to judge somebody from a place of fear, um and from a belief that is attached to fear, then I am judging myself. Okay. Because that person is a reflection of myself, because we've all experienced trauma in the emotional underworld, and that world has become full of shadows. And until we begin to recognize them and go, oh, there's one, I saw it. you know when we begin to that's an energetic pattern. That's an energetic pattern that restricts me, that limits me, that makes me believe a certain thing. You can feel the imbalance within your soul. So that's a signal that says, release it, let it go, because you're not that thing. Everything is coming to the surface. Everything is being uncovered. Everything. And 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 the more that we are at peace, and we are like, yes, bring it on. I want to I don't want anything hidden. I want everything that is in my heart to be seen and to be felt and to be heard. Why? Because that's where my power is. you know what when we begin to become inspired, we begin to become empowered, when we begin to tell a different story that is not about justifications of why we're going to remain in that energetic dynamic. But they are stories about how we transcended that energetic dynamic and we found the self, and that we actually needed that shadow to just trigger us so that we can reclaim more of our light, so we can see it, and so we can go, yeah, there it is, I'm moving on, thank you. You did a good job, Shadow, of triggering me. You did a good job, Shadow, of of um making me believe certain things, all illusions. I created that in my consciousness because I was through a projection, and so because I created it from a projection, then I become the reflection of that projection. If I create it from a inward projection of my heart, that is a transmission, that is a that I project onto the screen. Um, you know, what is coming out of my heart? What is coming out of my heart? And there's times when what's coming out of my heart is feel anger. I may feel fear, as long as I'm accepting it and going, I wanted to look. It's an hour 20. Gosh, I was just short one. Okay, I just want to mention this little thing. Um, I've always been a huge fan of Johnny Depp. Oh my God, he is just a dreamboat, and so he's been in the news lately because his second wife, Amber, wants to she's the gold digger in my perspective, but then who knows, there may be other perspectives out there, of course there is, and then we accept those. But in my perspective, what I see anyway, and it's open to interpretation, um, is I see one uh one person in that marriage is trying to cover everything up, and the other actually did a beautiful thing. The, Johnny Depp was being interviewed, and they said, what do you want to tell your fans? And he said, that I'm scared, that I'm terrified, that I don't know what to do, I'm confused, and I want to go home. The moment he said that, everyone can go, oh fuck yeah, I can relate to that. Who's ever been there? Yep. Yep, definitely. Because he didn't attempt to cover his emotional underworld, he just was courageous enough to say yes, and this is how I'm feeling. um, that put him in a more powerful position, because now, um, it's if that's the transmission, then Amber has to go, okay, well then I have to also um, give off that transmission, and be transparent, like I'm feeling this and that. But the thing is, the more she tries to cover up how she's feeling, or cover up her words, or cover up everything, the more she tries to cover up, the more she is exposed. you know and so, in her intentions, and what she was trying to do, she wanted to be the victim, but then you know she wasn't acting like a victim would act, and so, or talking, or there was nothing coming through her heart. And so, it was just words and stories and all the external stuff. Now when you see that, then you go, oh wow. It's pretty obvious. Mm. But it's courageous. It's courageous to just be present and say, yeah, this is my emotional underworld. Accept it. Accept it. And I accept that's where I am. And it's no point in hiding those things. No. Why would I hide? Why would I hide how I feel? Why would I hide what I think? Because we've been taught to position ourselves as the weaker one in the energetic exchange, that we don't have any power, and we are in ways contributing to that, because we believe, when we blame them or whatever, that they have the power over us and they're acting badly, and the more we're doing that, the more resisting them, the more we are, um, what did we say? The more you deflect, the more you blame, the more you give away your power. Okay, the more you accept, and the more you surrender, then that is what increases your power. It's backwards. We've been taught. We've been taught um, a way of being in this world that's actually backwards, and actually causes our emotional guidance system to get really fucked up. And because guidance comes from within. Guidance comes from within. It comes from the heart. And so if we are looking for leaders to guide us through these turbulent times, then we are looking for their heart. Okay. And I think, when Jacinda Ardern stepped forward in the initial shootings that happened in Christchurch, she led with her heart. She led with her guidance system. And so, where did she go? Where's that Jacinda? You know, where is the connection that she displayed, that she had and felt for the people? Because the thing is that um, if she is wanting to cast the vision, then she needs to make sure that the vision is something that the people can relate to, because we're over it. We're over the old structure and system of the world religion. We're over it. Yeah. We're not going to be controlled, and we're not going to seek to control either, you know because that's just a reflection of the system. Okay, it's not about control. It's about awareness of the self. That's what will deliver you. Okay, that's what will get you through this, and recognizing that we are all in this together. He waka eke noa, kia ora. Namaste.